Hey everybody, this is Pstock, your host from iHipHopTV.com live, on with Mr. Kerry Gardette, the author of How to Find Mr. Right. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna interview Mr. Gardette. There you go, there you go. Keep it, do it again. Hold it up there for a second.
Okay.
Let
All
them see
right.
it,
There
Kerry.
you
Hold
go.
it up. Don't be shy. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Kerry. There it is. There it is. You got the book. You got the book. So Kerry
There you
Gardette, the
go.
author of How to Find Mr. Right. How we doing this evening, Kerry?
I'm
Thanks.
great. How you doing today, Peter? Everything good
Yeah,
with you?
everything's great. Everything's great. I'm glad you had the time to come through and visit with us today. But hey, we're going to get into your book. There's a lot of information in there for, especially for women, and guys should take a read at it too, so they know what women's thinking or the direction women are going to be going. But why did you write How to Find Mr. Right?
Thank you. That's a great question. I've been involved with single women all my life, Peter. My mom had six sisters. They all had at least two daughters. I've got 14 single cousins, if you can believe that. And I've heard all of their stories as long as I can remember. Also, my brother and sister have three daughters each. So I've heard all of my nieces' stories about relationship, and to this day, I'm still hearing their stories, as well as all of my single friends and all of their relationship stories. Um, if I
Yeah,
could, let me tell you a
yeah.
story. If I could, I'm at work. A single friend coworker comes in, and she says to me, "Carrie," I said, "Hey, how you doing today?" She says, "Not too well." I said, "What's going on?" She said, "I hate men." And I was like, wow, that's a pretty powerful story. Why would you say that you hate men? She said, "Because, Carrie, they don't like me." I said, "We need to talk, lady." So what we did is we arranged to meet at lunch for 30 days. And what I did is I tried to give her some insights on how relationships, how she should change, how she thinks personally about relationships, as well as look at how relationships are working differently, as well as look at all of the options that are available to her. And as a result of that, I kind of changed how she looked at all relationship situations. So now another 30 days later, we were both invited to another coworker's daughter's wedding. I'm going across the parking lot to go into the church, and my coworker friend who I coached comes running over to me, gives me this great big hug, and says, "Carrie." I said, "Yeah, what's going on?" She said, and she pointed this way, and she said, "You see that guy right there?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I see him." She said, "He's with me, Carrie." And I'm like, "Ooh, wow, that's great. I'm glad to see that things have changed for you." She said, "No, no, no, Carrie, you don't get it." She pointed the other way, Peter, and said, "You see that guy right there?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I'm dumping this guy and going with that guy." And I'm like, "Uh-oh,
Created a
you
monster.
things are really changed for you, haven't they?" She says, "I can get any man I want because of the way you coach me." And I'm like, "I'm glad to hear that. Appreciate you saying that." Fast forward another 3 weeks. She invited me and another coworker friend to go to lunch at this new restaurant, right?
Hmm.
We go to the new restaurant, food's good. The owner comes over to thank us for coming to his new restaurant. And my girl starts putting the magic on him, right? And I'm sitting there just watching it, and this dude loses it. And then he finally gets his composure back and he thanks us for coming and leaves, right? I look at her and I said, "You killed him." She said, "I kill them all now, Carrie. Remember, I told you since you coached me up, I can get any man I want now." And I'm like, great. So that's my story on her. And because of that, Peter, it showed me that I could give women good advice and give them direction on how to find their Mr. Right.
Wow, wow, yeah, that's interesting. But she turned you look like you created a monster with that particular one. She
Oh, she's lethal now. She's lethal.
oh yeah, she's flipping them. She's flipping them. Now, what is it that single women are getting wrong?
Well, I think truthfully what that's about, I take them through a process, and in the process, what I teach them is the things that it's not about. And I teach them that it's not about their age or their dress size. And I break it down for them. I tell them that your age is whatever number it is, and you should be happy to be whatever that number is because a whole lot of women didn't make it to that
Right,
number.
right,
So be happy at that
right,
age. I know some women, when they get into their 30s or 40s, they start and feel a little, like the roof is falling in on them. But I tell them, don't do that because there's men out there that want you the way you are,
right,
right? So then I tell them about dress size. I said, I know women are aware and concerned about their dress size, but what you need to know is that men come in all ethnicities, nationalities, size, shapes, and colors themselves, and they're tickled to death that women do too.
right.
So now, with that said, what I tell women is whatever age and dress size you are, you're perfect because the man, that Mr. Right in your life, is going to think you're perfect at that age and dress size too.
Wow, wow. Yeah. So I mean, so single women, I guess in that case, like you said, there was a joke. I don't know if you ever. I think I sent it to you. Did I send you that joke? There's a joke, and when I heard it, it made me think about that. Here, let me pull this up and go through it. It's kind of cruel, but I guess it kind of leads to like some of the angst that these single women go through. Okay, but you might have heard this one too. It says a girl walks into a supermarket. Okay, she picks up a banana, a can of soup, and a loaf of bread. Okay, she then walks up to the cash register to pay, and the cashier looks at her, looks at the items that she has, and says, "I can tell you're single." And then she smiles and responds, "Well, how do you know that?" And he says, "Because you're ugly." So that's one
Ooh,
of those things where, I mean, I guess
that's
women
cold.
deal with that stuff. It
That's cold, man.
they deal with
That's
that
kind of
stuff.
brutal.
That's one of those things too. I guess trying to
Yeah,
make it out.
because you the way he presented that to her, you would think that there was going to be a compliment that comes behind that, like you're cute, or I'd like to go out with you, or I'd like to know who you
Right,
are, or something,
right.
to hit on her,
The
right?
key word was
But
single. I guess that's the
instead,
key word. Are you single?
but yeah, I'm pretty sure she didn't
That
see
coming.
him in her like
Yeah,
that. That was pretty
yeah,
brutal.
yeah. That was a brutal situation there. So, what are the four important things single women should know?
Um, First of all, number one is a positive attitude because with a positive attitude, everything is possible for you to get your Mr. Right. And number two is how you feel about yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself, don't expect Mr. Right to feel good about
Right,
you. And is how you present yourself to men.
right.
Men love women who have this beautiful smile, this look in her eyes, the confidence, all of those
Yeah,
things that make special,
right.
right? As a matter of fact, let me tell you another story,
Okay.
Peter. I go to the gym, and there's all of these beautiful women walking around with makeup on and these beautiful outfits, gym outfits. And they're not there to work out. They're just there for men to walk over to them and tell them how pretty they
Right,
are. And that's why they go to the gym,
right,
right?
right,
But there's one lady that comes to the gym, and let me describe her to
right.
you. She's about 4'10 if she's lucky.
Okay.
She's
Short.
not pretty. She's a little on the heavy side, and she just wears average workout outfits because she comes there to work out,
Right. She got
right?
a good job.
Yeah, but let me tell you about this lady. They got dudes lining up to talk to her. And the reason why is because of the things I just said. She's got this wonderful smile, this wonderful attitude, and this and she engages men into conversations to make them feel good. You got
Okay.
me? So she is that lady that and so I had to go over and ask her. I was like, are you married? She said, I've been married for 15 years. And I said, well, why is it that you let these guys walk up on you? She said, because I love to feel that I'm special. And I want to make men feel that they're special too.
Okay.
And I said, well, you getting it done, lady. You definitely getting it done. Now, the fourth thing is asking the right questions at the right time, Peter. That's critical in finding your Mr.
Right.
Right.
Wow. Those four questions. That's deep. That's deep. And women do go through it. You know, the women out there, they do catch heck with that. You know, and so on that note, what is the plan that you offer single women?
That's interesting. I did because I grew up with single women all my life and have been engaged in relationships all of my life also. I realized that some things aren't happening the way they should happen. But in my book, what I do is I take women through a detailed step-by-step plan to get their Mr. Right. And it starts with them doing a self evaluation.
Okay.
And that self evaluation starts with this: are you a positive person or are you a negative person? If you're negative, you got to change that like yesterday,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I asked them to do a physical evaluation. I asked them to be nude, stand in front of a mirror, and identify all the wonderful things that men love about them: their eyes, their smile, their body, whatever, their skin, whatever it is that they know that men love about them.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them you need to always keep that out there in front so men can appreciate those things.
Right.
But then I also tell them, Peter, that you need to identify the number one thing that men don't like about you also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You need to fix that. And so I tell them you need to create a plan to fix whatever that is. You know what I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
saying? And so I give them an outline on how they fix that situation. I give them the plan, and the plan starts with what is it that you don't like about you, or what you need to change about
Right.
you, and so the answer could be, I need to look into my health and fitness. And then I say, well, second question is, who do you need to talk to? I need to talk to my doctor, as well as I need to get a couple friends and let me discuss it with
Right.
them. Then third question, it should be, well, when do you need to start this? And I say the answer is no later than 2 weeks after you talk to your doctor and get your
Right.
friends. And then I ask them, how would you measure, how you're going to improve yourself? And then the answer I suggest is, I think I'm going to change my diet, and I'm going to start walking 1 to 2 miles a day, 4 to 5 days a week. And then I ask them to put together a time frame to complete it. And I say, so what's the time frame of completion? And it could be 3 to 9 months.
Wow. Wow. So you got it down for the women. So below on the screen for our viewers out there, you can see the website you got. You know, everybody can go to your website and check it out. They can order the book and get some tips and holler at Mr. Kerry Gardette because he got a plan and it sounds like it's working. Yeah, that's it. How to find Mr. Right.
Again, Peter, I take women through a step by step
Yeah.
process. And in the book, I take them through that process for them to understand the important things that they need to do, they need to change, they need to look for. Then I give them not only the information, I also give them a way to use the information because I created something called the game. And the game was created for for women to find their Mr. Right. And the process of going through the game is that you have to ask three yes or no questions to eliminate all men but
Okay.
one. The last man standing is Mr. Right,
Right.
bruh.
Right. Hey, that's simple. It's that simple. You know, and people can follow you too on Twitter and Instagram and everything and find out what's going on. Give the audience your Instagram. You have it handy or I didn't
No,
put it up on the
I
screen. I
sure
got you. You don't have it handy on you. Okay, that's fine. The next time I'll have it up on the screen for everybody so they can follow. But I got the website. If they go to the website, and they can get to your website from iHipHopTV.com as well. By
that's
visiting there,
great.
there's a link that they can go through and get to how to find Mr. Right .net, the website, and get over there and see what's really happening over there on how to find Mr. Right, Mr. Kerry Gardette. He's putting it down, giving information, passing along knowledge to all these women out here, the single women, of how to maintain and find those relationships and stop falling into those bad relationships or abusive relationships, because a lot of it goes around out there.
I tell women this, Peter, that you've been sitting back waiting for men to come introduce themselves to you, and then you try to evaluate if this is the right guy or not the right guy. Where I tell them, I flip the script on the whole deal. And what I mean by that is, I tell them, instead of you sitting there waiting for a man to come to be your Mr. Right, you go out and find your Mr. Right. And I give them the tools to go do that with.
Wow. Yeah, and that's good. And women need that, because there's a reason. There's more women than men because God knew what He was doing when He created the XX and the XY chromosomes. Keep
Yeah,
keep
absolutely.
keeping that balance. So yeah, it's very very informative. You can definitely tune in and catch Kerry Gardette on. You can catch him on Saturdays too on iHipHopTV.com live on iFreedom TV as well. Saturdays 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 1:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can tune in and catch him there on Saturdays, and it's that right there is a great thing. We got Kerry Gardette, How to Find Mr. Right, and it's a very, 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 very interesting book. It's an interesting topic that you dove in and chose it like that. So hey, it's good. It's good. They need this information out there. Much success, much hope. Women, if y'all know what y'all doing out there, you better get over there and get this book, get this information, load yourself up with this knowledge, and be ready to find Mr. Right. It's going to be kind of tough now with this coronavirus stuff going around, so you really gotta, you gotta.
Well, that gives me a chance now to just kind of get the book and digest the information and figure out what's the plan for them and how they want to use the
Yeah,
information.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, that's great. That's great. Great information. I'm sure we're going to see you again on iHipHopTV.com live. We're going to have more,
See,
and we appreciate you coming through and spending some time and passing on this knowledge for us, Kerry. Thank you, sir.
thank you very much for having me on, Peter.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
no, thank you. See you again soon.
Okay, see you Saturday.
Saturday it is.
Yes, it is.
Take
Take
care.
care.